Hello, friends. Happy Thursday. Happy Halloween. Gotta check and make sure all the things are thingy. Okay, sorry about that. Welcome, welcome. Happy Halloween. I know that many of you do trick-or-treating or enjoy having trick-or-treaters come to your house. So I understand that I may not have very many of you here live, but I do hope that you enjoy the replay when you get a chance to watch it. I have 3 super fun cards for you today, and they actually end up using one product across all 3 cards unintentionally. But it worked out really fun, and I hope you will all enjoy them. And let's get started. Okay, so this first card is a 2-for-1 card, and I have a super fun technique for you. So I do have some things completed just to make it go faster, because it is a time hog, for lack of a better word. So this is the inside. So you will make 2 cards, or you have the ability to make 2 cards with one kind of go through for this. So let's show you what we have. Sorry, my phone was setting off my speakers. Okay, so we have 3 pieces of cardstock that are, I wrote the measurements down and I put the paper elsewhere. What these are 5.5 by 3, all 3, and we have, what do we have? Moody Mauve, Wild Wheat, and Cajun Craze. Nope, Copper Clay. They are the 23, 25 in colors. And we're going to use most of them. We're not using the boho blue because it didn't really fit with this card. But that's okay. So what do we have here? Okay, so now my my bases for my samples are Pebbled Path, but our bases for the video are going to be Copper Clay. Okay, and you can see I have some of these done already, some pieces and whatnot done to make it a little bit faster. Okay, so we have 2 card bases, and we have white for the outside and the inside that are both 4 by 5.25. Okay, so let's get started. I'm going to show you on, let's do on this one. I'm not going to do all of them because, like I said, it is time intensive. So we have this piece 3 by 5.5, and we are going to do what everybody tries to not do, and we're going to crumple it. I know, I heard some of you gasp already. I did. Okay. And then our next step will kind of depend, and I will show you kind of the difference. Okay, we have a crumpled piece now. So we have 2 different styles here. Actually, let me fix the camera really quick because I forgot. glasses are not being helpful at the moment. There we go. Okay, that should... Alright, now we're in focus. If it wasn't before, I do apologize. Alright, so if you look at this wild wheat leaf, I was going to call it a flower, you can see this one has larger kind of blobs of color, and then this one and this one have more not harsh color. Hold on, let me... All right. So yes, they are two different colors, but that's not the point that I'm trying to show. So this one, you can see the ink color is a wider spread, and this one is a much harsher line. And the difference between that, besides the color of the ink, is this one, I took the ink pad and I just did that to it, okay? Versus this one, I took a block to the ink pad and then did this. So that's what I'm going to do on this one. I just wanted to show you what the difference was, okay? So I will tell you that this color is crumb cake and this one is pecan pie, okay? So you could do tone on tone color if you have those inks, and I do not, so I was using what I had. So move that over there. So this is the pecan pie. Now I could just put this upside down on my glass mat, and we'll do that later, but for this technique I'm just going to ink up my block as if it were a stamp, and I'm just going to run it over the edges. Now, if you are going to make 2 cards, you want to do both sides, and I will show you why a short bit later when we get there. Okay, so we've done that. Right, now what you can do is crumple it more. And yes, you really do want to. I know it seems like you don't want to, but you do. What we're doing is breaking down the paper fibers inside of our cardstock. Now, if you want to be kind of gentle. I was a little bit rough, so I do have a tear here, but that's okay because we're gonna die cut out of it, so that's not a real big thing. All right, if you want some color variation, this would be the time to do that. Grab your other color out and I'm going to clean that off. And then we're just going to kind of do that again. And while it looks kind of like the same color right now, they will dry different colors, obviously. Okay. So that is all that we're going to do with that. Sorry, I just realized I need another ink pad. Okay. So what we're going to do, ideally you let this dry before you do the next step, because otherwise you will get ink onto your plates for your embossing machine. Okay, so we're gonna cheat a little bit, right? So what you're gonna do, I'm gonna tell you what I did, and then we're gonna skip a step. Okay, so you're gonna let this dry, or you can make it dry, either way. Then you're going to put it in your plates and run it through flat with no dyes. And what that will do is that will flatten out your piece. It won't be perfect, right? It'll just be kind of ironing it, so to speak. And then you will run this dye through, and it fits on there twice. Okay, just so you can see. And you don't even have to turn it. It fits on there perfectly twice. Okay. So once you do that, you end up with 2 of each color of this. This is how or you can get 2, so you could get 4 cards out of these 3 pieces. You can get 2 or 4. Okay, so I'm going to set this aside. We're going to pretend we did that for all of our pieces. Okay, now here is where you have 2 options. You can use this as it is, okay, and I know you can't feel it. There's no feel-o-vision, which sometimes is really a good thing, but it kind of feels like really nice worn leather. Okay, so when you're playing with it, you'll notice, because of how much we've crumpled it, it is coming apart. Okay, and we're just going to help that. So if you want, you can use your leaf just like this, right? Not tear it apart or anything like that. Okay, we are going to tear it apart. And then you'll have a couple of options. You can use the inside part, which I'm not quite sure how well you can tell, but it then feels like suede. And it looks like suede. And depending on how much ink you used will determine how much ink comes through to the inside. So you can see we have some spots, but not a ton. And we have more spots on this side because there was more ink, right? That's what happens when you have the bigger splotches. More ink sinks in. So more ink comes through. Okay. So either way, okay, then you're going to use this piece with Pebbled Path, and you're going to cut out the veins. Okay, and you get to decide how you like them. Okay, so I personally liked them better behind, but you can do them in front. Oh gosh, they're like antlers. They kind of locked together. So you could do them on the front, or you can do them behind. Okay, this is whatever your preference is. Okay, so I am going to put these 3 aside, right? Save a little bit of time. So you have 3 leaves, right? We've torn them apart. They're ready to go. Just need to glue some bits. Now, if you like them like this, you don't have to cut this whole thing out. You can just cut out part, which is what I cut these ones from the negative space of the whole length of these ones. Right? So I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I got 8 veins from an 11-inch piece. 2 11-inch pieces. So they were 2 3/4 by 11. So I got 8 of them, so 4 per. And then these other little bits I just put in the negative space because again, I was putting them behind, not in front. Okay, so I'm going to move these out of the way. I'm going to show you how I attached these on the back. You can, because we're doing it behind, you can glue it or you can just tape it. So I think I'm just going to tape it. And make things fast and easy. And that's just some medical paper tape. All right. So we're actually going to put these ones in that card base. So I have the inside done already to help save a little bit of time. We have our card base. We're not going to do anything to that. So we need to do something with our envelope and we need to do something with our front. And then we have a piece for our sentiment, which is 3/8 of an inch by 3 inches. Okay, so our leaves are all ready to go. Now, we're actually going to do something that I bet you're not going to expect. And we're going to stamp with a die. Weird, right? I know, so strange. So I'm just going to take a loop of washi tape or this medical tape. And you have a couple different options. You can just use your finger and stamp, or you can use a block. Okay? Either way works. That's the great part about it. Okay, so my sample uses Pebbled Path, card base, and ink. And because our card base over here is copper clay, I'm going to switch to copper clay ink. And we are just going to treat this just like a stamp. Now, because there is so little space between the die and the block, you probably will get ink on your blocks. So you just have to make sure to not wobble while you're stamping or getting down to stamp. Right? It's meant to be a little bit messy. So I did start in the middle to help it stay a little bit more straight. It doesn't stay perfectly straight, at least on all of them that I've done. If you can do it, great. You are better at it than me. And of course, Otis has to have his say. Please stop. Otis. Alright, so that is the front of our card. And then we're going to just do the same thing for our envelope. That was not straight. So we're just going to try to keep that same mimic. Of course, I did just get some ink on the glass mat. Alright, now the question is, can I do the same angle on the other side? Right, not too shabby. Right, so our envelope is now done. I'm going to wash this off before I get it everywhere. Now you can't very well put this down and scrub it like you would a stamp. You will tear up your chamois, right? Which obviously you don't want to do. But you can tap, and rotate is not the best word to use, but I don't currently have a better one. Wiggle it without moving it, I guess. Right? And that's how we stamp with a die. Alright, our sentiment. Healing, peace, rest comes from comforting thoughts. And we're just going to center this on here. Perfect. Okay, and we also need some twine from the Natural Tones linen thread. And this is the copper clay. And one of the things I did not do on my sample, I am going to do here, and I will do it on another card as well. I have found this tiny little hair straightener at the thrift store, and I'm going to use it to straighten this. So while that's heating up, I should have stamped this one. Let's stamp this one really quick. Alright, then we can have all of our pieces done. And ready to go. Okay, now we can glue on our front and our inside. Let's do the inside first. Quite straight. There we go. The good news is this thing heats up really quick. It is already nice and toasty. Okay. So now I am just going to slowly pull my thread through, and you can see, just like for hair, it straightens it. Now, the faster I go, the less straight it becomes. And because of what we're doing, that's okay. Originally, I had wanted to do some nice, like, big loops, but my thread was not cooperating. So I ended up just cutting the loops and getting what you see over there. All right, turn that off. We're done. So my original plan, let's see if I can, well, before we do that, let's glue down 2 of our leaves. I am not going to put any glue on that stem. Not a single bit. Now, if you want, you can just do 3 little lines just like that. Make it nice and easy. And then you can have bits that still move and stick up and such. Okay, so now before we glue this one down, right, we're gonna kind of put it up a little bit. I think I like up a little bit. Okay. So we'll go ahead and move this. Move this to this side. Do kind of some figure 8s. It's kind of the goal I'm working towards, but this thread does not want to be cooperative. And that was the problem that I was having before as well. Please stop. Okay. Just to kind of see how that looks. See, those are a little bit big to me, so let's try do it this way. Can't tell if I'm untwisting it or retwisting it. I think I'm twisting it. Okay. Or at least attempting to. And see, I think that just looks a little bit too neat. So what we're going to do, we're going to undo all that. All right, so 4, 4, scissors. should be good. And let's use some tape again. It's going to be a very tape heavy night. We're just going to wrap this around. It keeps everything nice and neat and all in one spot, right? So then we're going to cut them just like that. And if you futz with them, you can unravel them a little bit if you turn it the right direction. Otis. They do kind of want to retwist around each other. The take your pick tool, just kind of use it like a comb. And we're going to repeat on this side. Might be easier to untwist one and then kind of comb through it. You don't necessarily want to do that a whole bunch of times, just once, maybe twice. I mean, I guess maybe you do want to do more. That's all up to you. This actually could make some fun scarecrow hair on like a scrapbook page. Now you see why we wanted it to be kind of contained together. We're going to call that good enough. If you want to futz with it more afterwards, you can. Okay. We're going to go ahead and use a glue dot. And kind of just put those at an angle. I already have dimensionals on here. Now I do have the dimensionals on the suede side, so you do need to be careful because we broke down all those fibers, so they definitely want to pull away much more than before. Otis, stop. You've been fed. You've eaten. Okay. I just put that on top, just like that. So this you can leave squared if you'd like, or you can cut a small angle on it. And I did 2 mini dimensionals on here at the very ends, right, because our leaf is already popped up. And voila. So then you would just repeat that process, obviously, for that second one, which, to save time for our video tonight, we're not going to do that second one. But I just wanted to show you that that second one goes together just as it goes together faster, right? Because you've already done all the things for it. You're just literally gluing it together. So that is card 1. Okay. Next up, I was about to do the Christmas card one. Can't do that one yet. We gotta do our other one first. So this, my friends, is card number 2. Look at how fun this is. And in here as well. Right? So fun. It's so easy. So, I'm actually going to move this out of the way because this one is going to be a little bit messier. So we are going to be doing some ink blending. So we're going to use these 3 colors: Early Espresso, Cherry Cobbler, and Peach Pie. Again, I don't have everything, so we are using this again, and I have cut out a bunch of these sleeves, and I cut them all out from Crumb Cake cardstock. Okay, and then I did also cut out a stencil from just cardstock. Okay, we're gonna use that one just a little bit later. Okay, so we have 3 large maple leaves. We have three small maple leaves, 3 small oak leaves, and a most of the way ring. So you are able to make both of these cards from one sheet of 8.5 by 11 crumb cake cardstock if you do your ring cut off like this, right? Which we're hiding it, so there's no problem doing it that way. Okay, to get the ring, we are using the Spotlight on Nature dies, and we are using these two, and I just taped them together so they are at least mostly equal distance apart from each other. It doesn't have to be perfect, just close, right? And so that's that part. We are then cutting from the Changing Leaves dies. They just fell off the magnet. We are cutting 3 of these guys. Nope, 4 of these guys, but I think I only used 3. But I did cut 4 just in case. And that is, what color is that? Garden green. And that is the same green on the next card as well. And then we cut these guys from Early Espresso cardstock. Okay, and we have a white piece that's 1 by 4, and we have this twine, which I will show you what we're doing with that shortly, and then a cherry cobbler card base, and of course an envelope. It's in a separate pile. Okay. Okay, so let me move that out of the way. Make sure I wasn't missing anything. All right. Move some things out of the way. All right. So we are using our blending brush. So this is the small, but you can use the large. Oops. Either way, works just fine. So here's the secret, and you'll use less ink this way. Smush it onto your surface, whether it's a glass mat or a another kind of sheet or anything like that. All right. And we're just going to blend. And yes, most of this crumb cake color goes away. But I wanted that to be the start of the color, not a white to be the base. It gives it a little bit more warmth and autumnal color, I think, anyway. So we are doing this, like I said, on all of these leaves. I don't remember, did I show you the inside of the card? If I didn't, you'll see. Alright, I already know I'm going to need more, so I'm just going to go ahead and add a little bit more. glass mat is a great work surface. If you drop a lot of things, maybe not so much, but it's great to be able to just do ink blending just right on your surface and not have to worry about your ink seeping through a paper or how much ink that scrap paper is going to soak up. And you can still control how much color you get on here. And I'm going to have too much ink. That's okay. I wanted the oak leaves to have a little bit less. Alright, so I'm just going to wipe this up. And no, it's not clean, and that's okay. It is clean enough. Alright, let's go ahead and do the early espresso. And I'm going to do just a little bit. And that's outside of your sight. I'm sorry. But I did about it went well. Just the width of the ink pad. And here, I can move it for a second. That's how much ink I have. Now this is a Close My Heart brush, but it works the same. It's actually smaller, slightly, than the large Stampin' Up! Brush. So you can see the difference. Look here. Let me put this small one. Right, so there's a difference. I need to get some more. So it might be easier to do this project with all small brushes versus maybe one of the large brushes. Or if you have finger daubers, you could do that too. And have just barely enough. The good news is you can pick up more off of the mat as well. So you lose less ink in your process. Those are maybe a little bit darker than I wanted, but that's okay. Alright. We'll be coming back to the early espresso ink in a short bit. Alright, let me move some of this stuff out of the way. And alright, we will see if this is enough. Alright, again, another Close My Heart brush. So I'm trying to have the small ones be slightly less red than the large ones. And if you've used blending brushes, you know you only have a certain amount of control. Aren't these looking great? I love them. So it does kind of become almost a dark orange, right? Yellow and red make orange. That reminds me, there's a new thing coming out. You know that color wheel that's in the book? You're going to be able to get a real one. A real movable. I'm a real boy. Just kidding. This is not Pinocchio. This is Halloween. This is Halloween. Okay. Very fall colors, right? Now you're thinking that this might end up being too much red, but it'll end up being like just the right amount. I think. Hopefully I don't have to actually add more. Alright, last leaf. Now if you don't want a leaf for the inside, then you could do just 2 of the large ones. If I had done my fingerprints. If I had done a larger card, then I would have put all 3 onto the front. But since it was not a larger card, that did not work. I'm going to push those out of the way. I'm going to clean off my fingers as much as I can on my chamois. And grab our envelope. So now you can cut yours in any direction you'd like. And so just a little bit of washi and then some Post-it notes. Oh my goodness. Alright, so I'm going to kind of move this over here. And I've not added any more. This is just the color still on the brush. So this is Pecan Pie. It is picking up some of the red from the stencil. Right, so I will need to wash my brush. It no longer is going to be a yellow brush. Right, and then I'm going to bring in another Post-it. And some more of this red. And try to get these tips red. They do look fairly pink. I'm also trying to not pick up ink onto the envelope and still allow you guys to be able to see. I'm going to swap over. So of course the amount of ink that you have on your brush will determine how much ink transfers and how red versus pink it is. Okay, so we are done with the cherry color. I'm going to open up our early espresso. Ooh, that was going to be dangerous. Now, I'm going to come in with a water paintbrush. There is still a tiny bit of water in here, and this is the same one that I used, what was it, last week? I'm just going to paint that stem. And I am going to come from both directions. I know that sounds weird. But if you don't, then you don't get quite the whole stencil. Our envelope is done. The stems are a tiny bit sloppy, unfortunately, but it is what it is. And I did have it come over onto the front a little bit. You don't have to if you don't want to. All right, well, we have our early espresso out. We're going to stamp our sentiment, birthday wishes, and we're going to do it closest to the right end. And my chamois is now going to be full of ink, so let's go ahead and get all of it. Our sentiment, we have our leaves. Before we glue our circle on, we're going to be smarter this time than I was the first time, and we're going to do our stamping now. So we're going to put our circle about here. Okay, this is just kind of an approximate, and we're going to stamp. Just like that. Just like that. Now we need our inside piece, which I need to grab. And we are going to stamp off and do kind of one here, rotate, and one there. Okay, we are done with our stamping, and we are almost ready to assemble. Okay, so we need, here we go, we need our linen thread. And let's see, we're going to do about 24 inches. Doesn't have to be perfect, just looking to be approximate. You know, we want to waste as little as possible. Alright, super curly, right? We don't want that, so we're going to turn this on again. And while that's heating up, let's go ahead and do our insert. Now this time, like normally, goodness. Normally we would do any attaching we might want to do before we glue in our insert. But today, for our look, we're gluing that first. Okay. And then let's go ahead and do our circle. And our little ribbon iron is hot already. Fabulous. Alright, so if you cut this like I did, I'm going to make sure to have that flat edge up in the upper left corner. So, I don't remember if I said, but I cut my crumb cake into 2 strips that were 2 3/4. So 2 3/4, 2 3/4, and then whatever is left. I don't know what that math is. I didn't do it. And then I cut all the leaves from those first 2 3/4, and then from that last larger piece, I ended up cutting 1 leaf and these 2 circles, and that essentially used up that entire piece. So it was really nice to be able to have a whole piece used and not have any scrap and have just a fabulous card. I could have done this beforehand, but I wanted to show you guys how easy and how quick it really is. Okay, that's it. We're done with it. Normally I would tell you to do the bow at the end, but we are going to do that secret attach hack that I showed you a couple weeks ago. Alright, so we're just creating a loop. We are wrapping around, attempting to not twist as we do so, and then pull that through. Right, so this is not tight. It's slightly tight, but it's not tight. And I have this little piece that I cut off from my bow earlier. This is, how big is this? About 3 inches, just over. Okay, but we're going to use this, and we're going to use our needle threader. So we have this, you have a front and you have a back, so we're going to go to the back side. We are going to just push this through, essentially just following these guys here, okay? Put that in, pull it back through. And then we have these 2 short guys. They're shorter than the rest of them. Flip it back to the front and then tighten your bow. Okay, so I do have my loops. Let's see, the farthest end of the loop to the knot is about 1 1/4 inches. Right, you can do slightly smaller. Okay, and then we cut off some of this excess. Keep that for another bow. Right, so we have 2 that are out wide and 2 that are down straight. Okay, I'll tell you why that's important here in just a moment. Put this back so I don't lose it. These things are super cheap but super handy in paper crafting. So just be aware. All right, next step, which is the last step before assembly, we are going to put some creases in our leaves. So I'm going to use my non-existent thumbnails, and I'm just going to kind of line them up where that vein would be. I'm just going to fold. All right, I'm going to push here, push here. I now have a crease. I do the same thing on every one of these little spiny spots. Okay, so I have 5 little veiny areas. It is a super simple thing, but look at, I mean, just that. Look at how much difference. Oh, that does not carry over on camera very well. All right, well, trust me, there is a huge difference. You'll have to do it and let me know if you agree. Okay, so I fibbed. Let's do one more thing, and then we will be ready to assemble. Technically there's going to be another part to this, but we'll get to that part in a little bit. Okay, glue dots and green glue are going to be your friend. So we're going to choose the 2 leaves we want for the outside. So I think these 2 for the outside, and I think I want them like this. So on the leaf that you are going to have pointing down versus pointing up, grab it and add a glue dot at the very base, right down close to that V, and then another glue dot not quite halfway. Then you're going to set your bow. In this V, and those extra legs that we attached, you're gonna pull them across the back. So those glue dots are attaching our bow. Okay, makes sense? So you can trim this now if you want, or you can just leave it. It's not going to affect anything currently. All right, so we're adding just one glue dot. If you want to feel a little bit more secure, you can do another one. Oops. Okay. Now, ideally, you kind of lay it out so you see how you like it. One of the things you need to remember is to kind of not go, stop, not go too far over the edge of your card, top, sides, bottom, whatever it happens to be. You can do a little bit, but you need to make sure it still fits in the envelope, right? So we are going to add these two, and we're going to kind of overlap them. Oh, we have to add 2 more glue dots so it will actually stick down. Silly. So I am going to add them essentially where the other glue dots are, but on top of our linen thread. So that thread is sandwiched between our glue dots. And now our maple leaf will stick. And our bow is attached. It's not going to come off. We don't have any glue dots on either side of it. It's not messy. It's nice and clean. I love that about it. Okay. So these two are the biggest parts that don't really have a whole lot of movability. So then you can go through and you can place some things, right? Just to see how you like them. Kind of where you might like them. Let's see. All right, so I'm just kind of playing around what looks good and whatnot. So I have done this already. I have my sample that I can look at. So I'm not going to continue doing that, but that would be my suggestion for you. And then kind of scoot them off so that you can grab at them from each little area. Turn all of these upside down. I'm going to add some glue. I'm going to make sure that it's fairly thin and it's only at the bottom. You know, where it's going to be tucked in. Alright, so only at the bottom. Give it a tiny bit of pressure before you move to the next one. And if you want, you can add a little bit of glue if something is sticking up, maybe just a little bit too much. and kind of interweave and overlap your pieces, because that's what's going to happen. Like if you were to make something with real leaves and whatnot, things would cross over each other. So I'm putting this on kind of all at once, so it has a chance to get tacky a little bit before I use it. So then I have to hold it less long. And I can just kind of move on. I think I'm going to wait on the glue because I remembered that oh, 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 oh. I remembered that I did not use all of them. This is kind of a fun process, and you get to be kind of extra creative with how you do things and where you place things, and you can make them different every single time from the last time, and I think it's super fun. Tweezers help a lot, by the way. Alright, this leafy green guy is going to have to go someplace different. Okay, we are almost done. We are not going to use this last green guy. Move him out of the way. So now we have our sentiment, and we are going to use our bone folder and I want to do this a few times. Okay, until we have a nice curve. Okay, and then we're going to do it the opposite direction. Trying not to put any hard creases in here, like I think I just probably did. Nope, we're good. We want it to look like a flowy banner. Okay, and then we're going to, on the opposite side, create that opposite bend. Right, we're trying to make it look like a wavy banner. Okay, so we are going to grab our dimensionals. Pop off those backs, and then do another layer of dimensionals. Oh, come on now. I should have waited to take those backs off because we are going to tuck this. I'm going to cut this off about here. Where did my scissors go? Right there. Because we want it tucked under all the way, and that does, okay. And then on the part that comes back down, right? And you know what? Let's add one more layer. So this is probably not the best card to mail. We'll probably pay extra postage for it. Alright, so where this curve comes back down, we are going to add just one quick line of glue. So we're going to tuck that under. We're not going to worry about any glue because it's tucked under everything, and that's all glued on there really well. So holding that glue down while it's drying, and in that process I'm just adding that bend back to that paper. And now you can see there's that bend in our little banner. Okay. Alright, last but not least, we are going to add our leaf to the inside. You know what? We're going to add some glue dots. Where did my glue dots go? Right there. Just because it will be a faster adhesion than waiting for the green glue. And we're just going to put them on that spine that we created. And we're just doing 2. Okay. And then we're just going to trim. And that, my friends, is our card. And this inside will still keep some of that dimension, and if you wanted to, you could, you know, tuck a little something inside. If you really wanted to, you could add a glue dot down here, and then that would create a little pocket. So you could do a gift card if you wanted. So that is card number 2. Fun, right? I really like how this card turned out. Alright, our last card of the night is our Christmas card. Okay. Now I am going to show you 2 samples. This is not necessarily a 2-for-1 card. I just wanted to show you the difference. So here are our cards. And they are essentially the same. You can kind of see that circle here. And there's some dots here at the bottom. Right, you can see that circle a little bit better on this one. On camera anyways. And it is a little bit lighter on this one. So the process was 99.9% the exact same. There is just a 1% difference, and I will explain to you how we did that. So again, we are using the Autumn Leaves dies. Much less this time. We are actually only using this bottom bit here on the bottom and on the inside as well. Okay. but that's okay. So we use this on all 3 cards. So we have card base 4 1/4 by 11, and then we have 2, and everything on here is thick white cardstock. Okay, we have 2 pieces that are 4 by 5 1/4, and then we have a couple of pieces of garden green cardstock. So we are using the dies from Layers of Beauty for this bottom leaf. Let me grab that one. So that is this one. We do only need one, but I have a few. Okay. And then we are using Winterly Treetops for our bows. So we're using just the dies from both of these sets here. I highly recommend the bundle, but you know, you do you. And then, let's see, the only other difference, between these is this one is 3 of these bows, right? So that one is 3 of those. This one is 2 of those and 1 of these. So if you had the Winterly Treetops and did not have the Layers of Beauty and wanted to make this card, you could do 3 of these, and there's not a ton of difference in the cards, but there is slightly. So let's go ahead and get started. And so for the one that uses the Layers of Beauty, I did actually use gosh, now I can't remember if it was actually, here's my sample right here. There it is. In my little garbage bin, I have a coloring sample. So I used the light. So I used the light shaded spruce on the garden green cardstock. If you wanted it to stand out just a little bit more, we could use the dark. So let's go ahead and use the dark. And let's go ahead and put this down. Literally just did this. That's it. Done. So you could use a different color cardstock. You could use anything you want. All right. How did I do this? So we need our Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. We need the big plate. We need 1 clear plate. We need the embossing plate. 1, 3, 4. Okay. And then we need our silicone mat. Okay. Oh yeah. Ouch. Again, the Spotlight on Nature dies. And I believe I used this size. Yes, I did. So the 3rd one from the center. Okay. Why didn't I take that other one out earlier? And this guy. So what we need to do, now, here's where the difference is. For the deeper impression, you have your cardstock, your dies, nope. For the deeper impression, you have your mat, you have your paper, then you have your dies, and you have plate number 4. For the lesser impression, the only thing that changes is where this mat is located, and we put it on top. Okay, so let's go ahead and do this. I am going to use a little bit of washi. Well, I'm actually using that medical tape because I needed something that would work a little bit better on top of the silicone mat. So that's what I have out. Alright, so I put this so that the whole thing's at an angle. I am not putting any tape or anything up here on purpose because I don't want it to accidentally stick because nothing's being cut away. Right, and then we'll put this on and we'll put this on. Alright, it's going to be really close to the camera. This becomes very staticky when you do that. Okay. And you just peel this up and you can see you have your imprint. It is faint. It is faint. Okay. I will tell you that. Let's go ahead and do the inside of our card. And hopefully that's straight, or at least straight-ish. And run that through again. Okay, done with that machine today. I think. Pretty sure. Unless I mess up the stamping. And then we're not. Alright, that is the inside done. I'm going to take this off so I don't lose it. Alright. Let's go ahead and stamp before we glue everything together, unlike what I did earlier, just using Memento Tuxedo Black ink. And I will show you the stamp set in a moment. Joy and love to you. And that is from Peaceful Season Where's that? Down here. Joy and love to you. Okay. And now we're ready to assemble our card, right? This would be a great, easy Christmas card. Telling ya. Okay, so let's do the inside first. Because we use all thick white cardstock in here, the amount of luxuriousness that this card gives off, even with being so simple, is amazing. So you can see on the back, you can see the impressions, especially the dots at the bottom. You can see the circle a little bit, but not nearly as much as if you had not used that mat. If you hadn't used the mat, this circle would be cut out, and you could still just cut it out and glue it right back into place. It just gives it a slightly different look doing it this way. All right, we're done with our green glue, and we're going to go back to our glue dots because it is just easier. All right, we are going to go ahead and do the 2 and 1. I think I might have just enough glue dots for this. Alright, so I'm putting our glue dots just right there. So I am going to grab my tweezers so you guys can actually see here. And I'm going to so what I'm doing is I am lining up the stem of the underpiece so it ends up just at the base of the stem for the top piece. Hopefully you can see that. And then, because we already have glue dots on there, we can just add our last piece. And have it stick to our work surface perfectly. Now if your stem pokes up, go ahead and snip that off so it doesn't poke out where we don't want it. And then we're going to add one more glue dot a little bit further down. And then we're going to center this horizontally, and we're going to have our bottom come down just past the bottom edge of that circle. Okay, so it's still kind of loose. It's not going to fall off, but it is somewhat loose still. Now, I did do the red berries. This package called Cherry Cobbler and Pearl adhesive backed berries rather. You have 3, 6, 9, 12 that are all pre-glued as a set of 3, and then you have individuals, so you could make it be a set of 3. I just wanted to show you that you could do the clear dots, and that would be cute as well. but we're gonna go with the cherry cobbler ones. And I'm just lining that up so this top one is right at the top of that stem. So it hides the stem and kind of comes down, so well, it doesn't necessarily look like holly berries, it looks like holly berries, if that makes sense. And that's that. We are not doing anything to the envelope for this card. We did the embossing on the inside of the card, so it's a very clean, crisp, nice card. It is perfect. You could do a different sentiment, season's greetings, you could do Merry Christmas, you could do, let's see what else is in here. A Season of Wonder and Happiness was my second choice for this card. But yeah, so many of the sentiments in this set would work perfect for this card. So, that being said, that is it. That is our third card for the day. So, thank you so much for taking time out of your day to visit with me and watch this video and learn how to do these things. I hope you are inspired, and I would love to see thumbs up on the videos. It tells YouTube that, hey, yeah, we really do actually enjoy this, we are inspired by this, and it makes me smile every time you do. So thank you again so very much, and I will see you guys next week. Have a happy Halloween, and I'll see you in November. Bye.